and they bring passion into their craft. They are called the night owls. Night owls have been burning the midnight oil and pushing the boundaries of mankind for thousands of years. According to mainstream scientists, some of the most revolutionary philosophers, artists, and engineers are believed to be night owls. However, over the last century, the invention of assembly lines, cubicles, and middle management gave birth to a new type of species, the early birds. Early birds are not interested in knowledge, nor have any passion in their work, but they do have a strong survival instinct. They adapt quickly. As they hone their social skills and become masters in brown nosing, they make their way to the top of the food chain. Today, only a small number of night owls live amongst these early birds, and more have been lost by the hour. As night owl population declines, these rare species are forced to assimilate inside the nest of early birds during the hours of 9 a.m. and 5 p.m. But at night, it's a different story. On the verge of extinction, few of the remaining night owls start a revolution by building a new nest and begin recruiting the other survivors. Over the next few years, more night owls came from all over the world to join their fight. This is a place where they are recognized for their knowledge and passion, rather than how early they get up in the morning. A place where they can be themselves, a place they can call home. But this is only the beginning. Only time will tell what's ahead for the survival of this endangered species as they embark on a journey to rise against the early birds.
Every week I read your stories, and every week I feel like I'm getting to know you better and better.
I'm going to start off with probably one of the most embarrassing stories.
This is one story that has kept me going.
I have a story from a few hours ago.
But I want to share a story that has to do with something else.
The story I'd like to share is one from when I was 10 years old.
I had a difficult time coming up with a memory that is not uncomfortable for people to read.
I held on to that for so long. I think I'm like more emotional because of hearing everybody's stories.
I really relate to Nikki because there's a lot from my past that I don't want to remember. Like, I don't want to bring it up because it's just horrible.
Really amazing just hearing the stories. I think I have a similar epiphany.
So similar thing happened to me this week.
It actually came from Hamza, who was in my previous small group.
That's the part that has to do with my ego because I'm afraid that they'll reject us.
What I learned is that in every story we can grab some very great universal teachings.
The thing I learned this week that was huge for me was I was trying to tell stories that were too big.
I think me being more vulnerable, me being myself is actually like a negative point about myself. That is something I realized.
The lesson for me was sometimes our limiting beliefs are so big in our head that we are our own worst enemy. And that's my share.
That's the story.
That's my story.
That's my story.
Practice storytelling, practice connecting the dots, but most importantly, just come back next week. And that's all I ask. And then we'll go from there. Next week.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great week, guys.
Oh, were you filming?
Yo.
Yeah.
This is how we wind down after a long Thursday.
It's Thursday?
All right.
Jesus. Fast week, yo. Fast week.
I don't know about in any other country, but at least in the United States, if you just fucking do the bare minimum, you will fucking win. You actually have to go from victim to realizing that you're a villain in someone else's story. And that's what's gonna trigger you to take the responsibility to become a hero.
For us today, and we will leave you with I can't do it. We'll do it live. Okay. We'll do it live. Fuck it. Do it live. I'll write it and we'll do it live. Fucking thing sucks.
5, 4, 3.
Welcome everyone to Authentic as Fuck. My name is Sun, and I'm gonna teach you how to tell stories that make people say, "I never thought of it that way." Okay. So I did a poll last week. I asked if you guys want me to do a Q&A or Design Carousels Live, and everybody picked Design Carousels Live. So I'm gonna do both. So every week I'm gonna do a 2-hour stream every Thursday at this time, and I'm gonna answer your questions while I'm designing carousel. So if you have any questions, just put it in the chat. If you're a member of Night Owl Nation, instead of putting your question in the chat, just do a call in. So you can just call in, and I can talk to you, and we can actually do it live, because then I get some context and I can have follow-up questions and things like that. If you're not in Night Owl Nation, so we practice storytelling in Night Owl Nation using Carousel. So if you're not in Night Owl Nation, check it out. So let's start. Okay, let's do this. If you have an idea for a carousel that you want me to make right now, I'll make it right now. Just put it in the chat. Put your idea in the chat, and put your idea in the form of like an advice or like a quote. If you have an example, that's even better. And if you also have a question, just put it in the chat. Okay. In the meantime, I'm going to share my screen, and we'll just dive right in. Okay, so if you don't know, I use Figma to design all my carousels. So here's like what my Figma file looks like. You can tell it's like a hot mess. Let me see if I can show myself on here, so you guys can see. Whoa. Oh, there you go. That's better. I think I like this one. Okay. Let's do this one. Okay. Yeah, I'm at 1080p. That's the only thing that Riverside lets me stream on. Sucks. Okay. So this is what I use. Figma. And here's what I'm going to do. I have an idea for a carousel that I've been thinking about. So I'm going to make that one. But like I said, if you have an idea for a carousel that you want me to make, or if you have a question, just put it in the chat. But for now, what I'll do is I'll stop sharing screen. Okay, so here's the idea that I've been thinking about. So the other day, I was looking at. So I wanna give you guys full context of how I come up with like these carousel ideas and how I ideate and then how I write and then design. So I'm just gonna do everything from scratch, and this is gonna be really messy because this is a pretty messy process. But what I'm hoping is that like every week I do this, and then if you've seen enough of me making carousels, like after a certain point, you're gonna start to get it. Okay, I see it. And what I'm hoping to do is I'm hoping to go live like every day. For now, I'll do it once a week, at least every Thursday, but hopefully I can do more. Okay, so this idea I had was the other day I was checking my Instagram, and I noticed that I'm losing. So there's like on Instagram Insights, there's a way you can check followers, total, and then just unfollows, right? So if you click on unfollows, you just see how many people unfollow you every day. So I noticed that I'm losing like an average of little more than 100 followers a day every day. So which means basically just to break even, just for me to stay at the same point, I have to get 100 new followers a day, right? And if I get like 500 new followers in a day, I only actually get 400 because I lose 100 followers a day, right? So this kind of reminded me of like life itself, like how, because that's kind of how I feel like life is, right? Like for example, if you're on a diet, right, or if you're like getting fit, and I mean this is like the progress. This is like the timeline that I see everybody. They work out like crazy. They get fit to a certain point, and then once they get to reach a certain point, like they have to work out a certain amount just to maintain their physique. And then once they stop, it's not like you maintain it, you start going back, right? The same thing with money, right? As soon as you stop going to work, it's not like, it's not like your savings stop. It's like, no, you start going, your expenses like start to catch up. So that's kind of like the analogy that I was thinking, and this is kind of the idea that I was thinking. All right. Ryan Mayer, is there an easier way to have a background element image that stretches across the carousel? Yes, actually. I'm glad you asked that. Okay, let me share my screen and I'll show you that real quick. So if you look at most of my carousels, right, you see. So if you're a designer, you understand the concept of copy space. So let's say you go to like let's say you let me put this here. Let's say you go to like iStock. As you can see, I never use iStock. And you search a photo of a marketer or something like that, right? Like if you look at this photo, like there's really no copy space here. Like there's no place to put text. Like if you put text over here, it's gonna be still a little bit hard to read. Over here, yeah, I guess you can put it over here if it's like a small text, but there's not a lot of copy space, right? Here, maybe here. So a lot of the photos don't have, what we call copy space, right? But there are some photos like this one where there is no copy space here, but because it's like kind of plain background, you can just extend it. So what I usually do is, in a case like this, what I'll probably do is I'll extend this side here. I mean, this is kind of like the old school way. And I'll just drag this and I'll extend it, right? Something like that. So now I can put copy here, right? I can put whatever I want here. It's easier in white. And it's easy to read, right? So like essentially I basically created like a copy space, right? And then if I don't like the way that, like if I want to make it perfect, because you can kind of see that I stretched it, I can do different shit. Sometimes I'll just blur it so it kind of blends in. And then I'll take an eraser. Yeah. Wow. Okay, so there's the copy. So you see I have two layers here, and then I'll blur this top layer. And then so you see like in the bottom layer, you see it's like I have the blurry layer. And then I'll take the eraser and slowly, it'll kind of blend, so it's cleaner. But I don't really pay attention to that much to like trying to make it perfect. Yeah, so that's like 1 minute. So I guess essentially what you want to do is you want to try to find photos where you can do that with. Like some photos, like it's easier to do, right? But nowadays you can also use AI, so you can like you can do the same thing. Like in Photoshop, you can just like for example here, there is some photo space here, I guess. and then you can just what's called generative expand, and you can say extend background with white wall, so I can use it for copy space. Generate. I don't know. I have no idea how this. Yeah, I guess. I guess this could work. I guess you know what would be cool, like if this was like, you know, if this just went kind of like that, so it's like smaller, and then I can just extend this wall behind. Then now I got some copy space here. I can write some shit here. So yeah, that's how I would do it. Here's the thing, right? For if you're a designer watching, or it doesn't even matter, even if you're not a designer. Here's the thing, right? The way I do everything, whether it's like design, copywriting, storytelling, making content, marketing, whatever, like sales, whatever it is, the way I do anything is unlike the right, quote unquote, the right way to do it. So everything that I do is not the right way to do it. So if you see me do anything in Photoshop or Figma or something like that, and you're a designer, you might be like, that's not the right way to do that. You should be using this tool, right? But the thing is, here's the thing, like this is the way I do it, and it's worked for me. And I feel like that's kind of also a good kind of a lesson in everything else that I do. I do everything in my business not the right way. I just kind of found little quirky ways that works for me, and it works for me great. Okay. And I just want you to do that. I want you to understand that you could do that too. I'm okay. I am giving you permission to do that. Because I know here's the thing. I know you need it, because even right now, as I'm showing you this, and I'm showing you how I stretch the background and all that shit, I know that like the insecure side of me, there's like a little son inside my head that's going like, oh, there's probably some fucking Figma designer or some Photoshop fucking expert out there watching this going like, oh, that's not, you don't do that like that. Or, like even I get self-conscious about that. Okay. So and I don't want to show it to you. But the thing is, like, this is how I do it. I told you it's going to be messy, but this is how I do it. And like, you shouldn't be ashamed of the way you do things, because I honestly think that like the way you do things is probably your superpower. Okay. Okay, Ryan, I hope that answered your question. Rob, I'm interested in knowing your process idea to carousel. Let's see. You just rapid fire ideas in Notion, then pick one. Do you say post on IG? So here's how I do it. Let me share my screen again. So here's how I do it. I'm going to open this file. And here, I don't know if okay. So I'll just show you. I'm going to hide this, and I'm going to show you this side. Okay. So this is what I do. I'm getting this is actually the exact process that I'm trying to get people to follow in Night Owl Nation. Because what I'm trying to do is this. Okay. I think in the beginning, what I did, the first time I did the storytelling course, the first time I did it, what happened was, I think I didn't teach. I wasn't really honest with myself, right? I didn't teach the way I would do it myself. And this is kind of maybe related to, let me stop sharing for a second. This might be kind of related to what I said earlier. I think I was a little bit shamed of the way I do things. I think I was a little bit shamed of the way I come up with stories, come up with idea for content and carousel. And I'm like, this, because it's not the right way to do this, right? Because like you go on YouTube and you do all these fucking storytelling class and things like that, and there's like, they tell you the right way to do things or whatever. So I think I copied a lot of those. So essentially what I was doing is I created a course based on, I mean, half based on obviously what I know, but the other half based on what I feel like is the right way to do this, what the experts are saying. What you know what I mean? And what I want to do, what I'm trying to do right now, actually, in Night Owl Nation, is I'm trying to reverse engineer exactly down to the T, exactly how is it that I'm doing it, not how the experts are doing it, not what the right way to do it is. How is it I'm doing it? Because obviously I'm doing something right. So what is that, right? So I'm kind of breaking it down, and so I'm gonna try to be as transparent as possible with you, right? So if you want to hear my carousel idea, so this is the process, right? First thing you have to do, so it's like a multi-prong, and they all work together, okay? So first step is constant awareness, and I think this is like where journaling really helps. So people that I know that keeps diaries are phenomenal storytellers because they're just so aware of things all the time, right? Because when you have to document your day every single day, like exactly what happened, you automatically kind of become aware of things, right? Like hyper aware of your surroundings and things like that. Number one. So that, and then like the second part is through that you also get reflection. And when you do this constantly, okay, so I'm going to be completely transparent with you. I did not keep a diary. I'm not the type of person that would write a diary every morning, every night, right? But here's what I did. I smoke weed every night. So, you know, I would go to work, come back, and when you smoke weed, and what happens is at the end of the day, when you smoke weed, you kind of automatically kind of reflect on your day. It's like, oh, fuck, I shouldn't have said that to that guy. Oh, I shouldn't have done this. Oh, fuck, I'm glad I did this. Oh, it was interesting how this person responded like that. You just reflect on that day automatically, right? So that's kind of what happened to me. And what happens is through this process, you start to recognize patterns in life. You start to recognize patterns in life, and you start to see things in your life where you're stuck in this thing. And you start to see, because you see the pattern of how your behavior or something like that, you start to notice that and you fix yourself, right? And you do the same thing in your business. And this is actually how I learned all my business and life lessons in my life, right? Obviously, there are lessons that apply to me, but this is how I learned these lessons. So these are lessons that I already look. So if you see a carousel of mine, those are lessons that I've already personally experienced and like I've learned it in my bones because I've struggled with it and I've gone through the pain. Okay, now, so that's one department. So now here's a chunk of all the lessons that you learn. On this other side, you go on living life, and then you start again through this observation awareness. You start to observe things. You're like, oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's kind of like. And what starts to automatically happen when you do this practice every single day for years, like day in and day out years, you automatically start to connect the dot between this everyday observation you notice and these life lessons that you've already learned. And once you connect the dots, you're like, oh, like that's how I came up with the thing about the Tinder, right? Like what happened is I read that like because of Tinder, because there's so many options, less people are settling down and less people are getting married. And when I heard that was something I was like, oh, that reminds me of how I when I give my clients too many design options, like they're actually less happy, right? They can't pick one, right? So it's like I can feel it because it's a lesson that I've learned, right? So once you connect the dots, then that's where the idea begins. So what I do is like when I notice these observations every day, I put it into this thing called what I call story bank, right? And this is what we use in Night Owl Nation. So for example, I'm gonna I'm gonna add a new story right now where you know, because this is the one I'm gonna be working on today, this week. I lose 100 followers a day, and that's a metaphor for life. That's all I'm gonna write, right? Because once I write that, like I know what that means. You know what I mean? Like, let me just okay. I know what that means. So it's kind of like what happens is once I see that idea came when once I realized that I'm losing 100 followers a day, and then remember that connected the dot to me of other past experiences that I had, where if I don't, that's the same thing with my fitness journey. That's the same thing with my business. That's the same thing with the job. Like everything you do, once you stop, you start going back. You don't just stay still. You go backwards, right? So that's kind of like the vicinity, the vague idea I have. That's all I have, right? And I just write it down in one sentence. I know what that means, right? In my head, I know. I don't know exactly what it means, but I know the neighborhood where it's in, right? I don't know the exact address. So at that point, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just write it here, and I'm gonna forget about it. And then on the day that I write content, I'm gonna pull it back up, and I'm gonna start writing it, which is what I'm gonna do right now. Okay. And then once I start writing it, that's when the line starts connecting. It's like, and then it becomes much more clear. And then once it's become more clear, I've just like gained the new knowledge, right? It's like, okay, I understand this a lot more clearly now. And next time I talk about it, the same thing is going to happen again. This is actually the number one reason why we practice storytelling on carousels. Not because you can write some viral carousel that's going to get you 1 million followers, but because I want you to practice writing your vague ideas. Take your vague ideas that you think it's cool, focus it into a carousel. Then you're going to become a phenomenal storyteller. Okay. Let's look at some more questions. Yeah, that Rob, I hope that answers your question. Oh, then okay, I feel better now. Good. As long as it works, it's the right thing. Yes, I agree. Ellen, I'm an artist, but it also not translate to graphics. But it does not translate to graphics. Next thing, okay? Yeah, Ellen, if you want to talk about that, just you can call in and we can talk about that. Liz Pez, yes, journaling helped me recognize those patterns. It's helping me become unstuck with my career and transferable skills. Yeah, that is actually kind of have to work. I feel like if you want, like if you're working on storytelling, the other day I said, you can't be a great storyteller until you killed your ego. And that's because I think in order to be a great storyteller, you have to be able to see the whole truth and nothing but the truth. Okay. But I mean, all jokes aside, you have to be able to see both sides of the story. When people say there's two sides to every story, you have to be able to see both sides of the story. You have to be able to see your side, and then you have to be able to see your villain side. And you have to be able to flip the table, and see how they're the victim and you're the villain, and vice versa, right? Once you've been able to see both sides of the story, now you understand the whole truth. Because if you only see your side of the story and not the other person's side of the story, that's usually like it's usually coming from a place of like a traumatic experience, right? Because like you know, you ever have somebody like say something to you, like for example, like if a client says like, oh, why did you make the logo like that, right? The client could have just been asking a genuine question, like they're just curious, right? But I might be like, what, you don't like that? Like I might get all defensive or something like that, right? That means I've only seen my side of the story. I haven't seen the whole side yet, right? So until you see both sides of the story, you're still telling a story from like a traumatic place. So that's why, like, I feel like 80% of the work is actually really being honest with yourself, killing your ego, looking into your soul, into that, that shadow that you don't want to see, and seeing the whole truth. And then I think the last 20% is okay. Now that I know all of this, I'm awakened. What's the best way to communicate with words? But what I see is the reason why a lot of people struggle with that last 20% is because they haven't done that first 80% of the work. That's the real work, I would say. Okay, Ellen, son, I'm told all the time I'm good at telling stories, but I feel like it works in person, but not really translating online. It's a bit of paradox for me. Have you experienced this? Yes. Yes. Okay, let me stop sharing for a second. Okay, so this is what happens, right? When client comes in and you put me in a room with them, I will close them 100% of the time. But when my salespeople does it, they can't, and they have the exact same, like, obviously they know the same exact things that I do. I work with them, I train them. But so and I see this a lot with entrepreneurs. So a lot of entrepreneurs like, oh, you put me in the room with them, I could sell it, but I have to be there. Okay, two things. Of course, right? Every entrepreneur, doesn't matter how big the company is, the top person is gonna be the best teller of that story. Why? It's kind of like when you see Bob Dylan perform on stage, like back in 1960s. This guy is like a skinny, geeky-looking Jewish guy with curly hair. In no world he would be a rock star, right? But when he goes up on that stage and he closes his eyes and he puts that fucking harmonica on with his guitar and he starts singing like Blowing in the Wind at age 21, like, you get fucking goosebumps. So it's something about that scratchy voice, like, and what it is that what he's delivering in that stage is not just a song and the lyrics. He's lived that experience. He's wrote it down in lyrics, and he's performing it in the right intonation that makes sense to him. And the artist that is both writing the lyrics, the music, and performing it all at once, the singer-songwriter, is always gonna have some insights that just singers won't have, just lyric writers won't have, just producers won't have, right? And fuck, I don't even know where I was going with that. Okay. So so that's what's happening, right? So here's the thing. That's why when you tell the story in a room, because it's your story, people are gonna feel it like they feel Bob Dylan on that stage. Now, what that means is you've written one of those. There's two types of jokes in comedy, right? There's the jokes that comedians tell. And then if you try to do what Dave Chappelle does on stage, you're gonna fucking bomb. Nobody's gonna laugh. And then there's like the knock knock joke or the pre-canned jokes, which is kind of like, you just hit the punchline and you get a laugh, right? Those are two different types of stories. Right now, you're telling this type of story. What you need to do is you need to extract this. This is why like Night Owl Nation is perfect for you. You need to extract what are the punchlines and all that shit in this story and put it into this format so that other people can start telling it. That is your ultimate goal. That's what I would advise, right? And that's kind of what I'm doing with my clients. Number two, here's what I would do if I were you. If I were you, I would do what I'm doing. I would go live. Because if you're and I guess this goes for everyone. If you're that person like that, nobody else can tell the stories the way you did because you've experienced it yourself, and you can it has all that emotions and all of that in it. Then go live, fucking make videos and transfer that because it's the only way you can scale that. Does that make sense? Okay, so I give you both paths. I recommend doing both. Hey, Rosalinda. Hey. Okay. Okay, let's move on. Okay, I'm gonna go back to the carousel. If you have, in the meantime, just this live is kind of like, I don't know if you've kind of feeling this, but I want to create this like the reason why I also want to go live all the time is because I really want to cultivate this community where we come here, we just hang out every Thursday. You ask me whatever question you have, and we just hang out. We shoot the shit, and I'm gonna show you some shit. You're gonna ask me some questions, and we'll have fun, right? Okay. Let's do this. So I lose 100 followers. So the first, and then what I'm gonna do is now I'm gonna outline this, right? And this is kind of how I write everything. I have to outline it first because I'm not one of those people that can like free. People say just like channel your writing through your hands or whatever. I can't do that. Okay. So, like the other day, I noticed I lost 100 followers, which means I have to get 100 new followers a day just to stay where I am. That reminded me of life itself. If you don't stop moving, you start moving backwards. See that line? If you don't stop moving, you start moving backwards. I just wrote that. I don't know if this is something. Let me Google. Like, so when I write something that I think is like, oh, that's kind of cool, right? And it's kind of weird, right? You just never know when it's gonna. That's the fucking. That's kind of like the most phenomenal thing about the human brain, because this happens to me. I don't know if it happens to you guys, but like some words come together and forms a sentence that you say you don't even know. Like you've never even said it before, but you just said it for the first time. You don't even know how you connected these words and said it, and you say it, and you're just like, oh, wait a minute, that was fucking dope, right? And you don't know where it came from. It's kind of like yeah. Yeah. I mean, I guess kind of it's one of the kind of so when that happens, like I'll Google it. If you don't stop moving, you start moving, or if you stop moving, you start moving backwards. Okay, and then if you're not moving forward, you're moving backwards. Okay, if you're not moving forward, yeah, okay, learn something new. So there's already a saying that says if you're, and here's the thing, like when you come across something like that, somebody else already said it or something. So what? Like I have no new idea. There's not a single thing that I can say that hasn't already been said before. Okay, by people a lot smarter than me. So what? Let's see. Alan, yes, happened there crazy earlier. We're gonna create more small groups, and yeah, we're gonna create more opportunity for you to get involved in the community. Because I am aware that if you're like in Australia, New Zealand, or like Indonesia or something like that, It's gonna be tough for you to make it. Any suggest L said any suggestion for sharing content that you didn't get to from last year or more? Well, it's just for sharing content. Yeah, just share it. I don't know. You know, like you should keep reposting. Just keep reposting the same post every 3 months. Like, if you spend time making a reel or carousel or something like that, and you just post it once, and in one channel like Instagram, like that's kind of like I'll give you a couple analogies. That's spending time to make a post and posting it once is like making a commercial, like spending $1 million making a commercial and only airing it once. Okay, so that's one analogy. Another analogy I want to give you is it's kind of like when you go to the pool, right? And you don't want to go in the water or something like that, or you go to the lake or whatever. You don't want to, and you kind of in the beginning you just kind of like, you know, splash. You don't want to get wet, but once you're wet, like it's like fuck it, right? Same thing like when you're in the rain. And it's kind of like that, like reposting content. It comes from like this fear of like, oh, I don't want to be repetitive. I don't want my audience to get sick of me, bored of me, blah, 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 all of that, because none of that is going to happen. But the only way you're going to actually know is by doing it, right? And so the only way you're going to be okay with getting wet is first you just have to get wet. Because if you just tiptoe around, repost, blah, 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 like it's not going to work. You just got to do it, and once you do it, that fear is gone, and you're going to do it all the time. All the time, to a point where like sometimes right now I repost shit after like a week. Okay, and you probably didn't even know because it doesn't show it to you, right? And sometimes I take the same videos. This is something I've been really like having fun with. Sometimes like now I'll take the same exact video that did well. So I'll look at all the videos that week and I'll take the one that did the best, and I'll just change little things. Like I'll re-edit it so that this part, it starts with this part and loops around. So I'll move this to the back, right? Or I'll switch around. I'll just delete little things, or I'll just change the text hook, and I'll literally create 10 different versions of it, and then I'll repost all 10 versions on trial reels, and then see which one does the best, and then you learn from that. And next time, do it again, and 10 more versions, right? So you gotta treat content like you can't beat around the bush with the content shit. You can't treat it like so precious, it has to be so perfect that like you can't treat content like that. You got to treat content like fucking, it's like this factory where you have to treat it like it's like a text message group with your friends. You can't treat it like the cover of New York Times. You know what I mean? Okay. Is it okay to yeah, both. So post it exactly the way it was, once every 2 or 3 months. What I would do is, if you have the time, if you don't have the time, just repost exactly the way it is. If you do have the time, I would try to test it out. I'd use trial reels, like try different shit, try different hooks, and keep testing it to see. Because like, number one, when you do this, you're gonna learn, right? Because it's hard to learn if you keep posting without really understanding. You don't know what's working or not. But if you post the same exact post twice, and the only thing that you changed was the time you posted, or the only thing you changed was the caption or the hook or whatever it is, then you learn something from there. And this is how you learn, And then once it works, you can repost that shit again and make it even better, right? So once you have an outlier piece of content, if all your posts are getting like 500 views, and then this one got 5,000 views, repost the shit out of that with different hooks. Like try all different things. Or even if it's like the top, because sometimes like for me, it's topical too, right? I know that whenever I make a content that has anything to do with money, it's gonna do better. Like for example, if I say, here's how you tell better stories, that's gonna bomb. But if I say, here's how I made $10 million with storytelling, then that's gonna do well. Like, so you're gonna start to realize what works and what doesn't work just by doing this. You know what I mean? That is the whole point. The point is not to go viral. The point is to learn how to go viral. I never. Yeah, and I also think that it's kind of like the goal is not to go viral, but the thing is, it also isn't to whatchamacallit, like not go viral. It's not like you shouldn't go out of your way to not go viral either, right? Because I see this a lot with creatives. Like they're very stubborn. So I'm like, all you gotta do is just fix this, this, and this. And then you'll just get more views. And they don't fucking do it. It's because of their fucking creative integrity or some fucking stubborn shit like that. And I understand where you're coming from because I was there too. But the thing is, that's just your fucking ego speaking. It's not true. It's not, it has nothing to do with your creative integrity. Because there are things that I wouldn't do. Obviously, for example, I wouldn't start an OnlyFans site just to make money, right? Because like just for business, that doesn't make sense, right? I wouldn't do something just for views. If it like destroys my integrity or something like that. But there are plenty of things that you can do that doesn't, disrupt the integrity of your creativity. You know what I mean? There's plenty of little things that you can do to just get more shit out there. Why not do those? I don't understand, Okay. So maybe something like the other day I noticed I lost 100 followers, which means I have to get 100 new followers a day just to stay where I am. This reminded me of life itself. If you stop moving, you start moving backwards. Okay, so I got 4 slides. So what I want to do here is this, right? I think most people will understand this. By the way, I put somebody asked before like how like my process for ideation. So this is my process. Every time I get an idea, the first thing I do is I post it on Threads. So if you see here, let me see if I can make this bigger. Let's see. By the way, you want me to tell you guys something? Let me tell you a little secret. So I've been getting like 500 new followers a day on Instagram. So I haven't posted in a long time, for months. And so I've been losing followers. And then once I came back, literally within a month, I started getting 500 new followers a day. And here's how. Because I think you can replicate it. If you see on my threads, right? I know I'm getting I know my brain is fucking all over the place. So you're gonna have to, if you watch my lives, you're gonna have to bear with me. Like you're gonna like you need because people say I have ADHD, so I'm gonna be jumping around all over the place, but there's a reason why. There's a grand plan. Okay. You see this? Like for example, entrepreneurs create the world, everyone else just live in it. Fuck, I guess that was a while ago. No, this is the problem when you post too much. Okay, here it is. So entrepreneurs create the world, everyone else just live in it, right? You see this? The post after they got 22, the one before that got 42. You see this? So there are outliers like this, right? Next one. Let's see. There's another outlier. This one's kind of an outlier, so I'll turn it in. I'm going to turn that into a post. Like I saw one from yesterday. Yeah, this one is kind of. I can tell that this one. It takes some time. It takes a few days for your stats to show up, but I can tell that this is. I'm going for like the ones where it's got the most reshares, but it's the same thing. So all the posts that you see here that are just a single quote, right? You see this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one. All the single quote ones came from my threads. So they were all outliers in my threads first. And once I find the outlier, I just go in here and I just fucking type it into here, right? And then I just post it on Instagram. And every single fucking one of them, if you look at my insights and you look at the posts that are bringing me the most views, these are the top ones. They're all just single quotes. You understand what I mean? Like only this one is a carousel. Everything else is like, look at that. That shit is crazy. Look at this one. This one's got 50,000 likes. Not 50,000 views, 50,000 likes. Anyway, so that's something that I think everyone can do. So, and sometimes like you see this? Okay. Here's why. Because if you see me, look at this. This is just today. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I posted 11 times just in the last 24 hours. The 24 hours before that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 6. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. You see how many times I'm posting a day? It's because I'm just throwing everything in the wall. So don't hoard any kind of content. Just throw everything in the wall and see which one sticks, right? And then sometimes like I just text shit to myself when I have those like vague ideas. And then I'll just like post them or something like that. Okay. But anyway, so back to no, I'm not moving away. I'm actually doubling down on carousels. I want you guys to know this. I'm gonna double down on carousels. My goal is to become this. If you say the word, like, here's my goal. When I die, I want my tombstone to say carousels. Like when you open the Webster dictionary and you look up the word carousel, I want you to say, I want the definition to say sun, sun yi. Okay, I'm actually doubling down. I want to become the carousel guy so that my name is synonymous with carousels, right? The reason why I'm posting single posts is because they're the ones that are getting me new views right now. They're the ones that are getting new followers. And I'm gonna figure out how to get new followers through carousels too and reels. It's just until I figure it out. Why this is what I mean. I don't want to post those quotes. Those fucking quotes are stupid. I don't think that helps anyone. I think I have so much better content than those fucking stupid quotes. But they're bringing me 500 new followers a day. They can potentially look at my carousels and reels and maybe come to the live. So why would I stop that? Make sense? So my strategy for now is I'm going to use these quick and easy way to get new more eyeballs into my account, and then I'm going to post some dope ass carousels. Hey Kundan, welcome. Yeah. And And I think there are. I just gotta figure out. There are ways to make carousels go viral. There's ways to make single posts go viral. There are ways to make the reels go viral. For example, this is something that I haven't talked about. I know I keep getting sidetracked, but this is something I haven't talked about. But if you're building a personal brand, because when you go online and you look at the social media kind of experts giving advice on YouTube and Instagram or whatnot, like they teach you how to hook the audience. Like this is how you hook the audience. This is how you use psychology to do this. This is how you edit it so that it's a pattern disrupt and all of the psychological thing, which I 100% agree with. Great. Now, the thing is, I love it, but I can't always use it. And here's why. Like the other day, so for example, I saw this guy that I love. His name is Jun, Korean kid. And he was making a video, something like, this is the story framework that made my family $10 million or something like that. And I understand that's a great hook. That's a fucking great hook. Right? And it's strategically just fucking chef's kiss, right? I could never use that. I could never do that. And it's not because I didn't make $10 million. The reason why I can't use it is because I know in my heart that it's not true. Just like, and maybe like this guy, maybe he doesn't know that, right? Good for him. Ignorance is a bliss. But it's kind of like when you say, I coached this person and this person went on to start this company or something like that. You don't really know that, right? Maybe that person would have started anyway, right? Or, yeah. Like, number one, we don't know that it's the reason why is because of the storytelling. Maybe you're just a super charismatic and super, hardworking guy, and it had nothing to do with the storytelling. Number two, even if it had to do with the storytelling, we don't know if it's because of this framework, right? So there's just so many what ifs here, and for that reason, I personally cannot use that hook. And there are so many marketing shit like that there, right? And then there's stuff that I am willing to compromise on. And here's the thing. But here's why you shouldn't worry. Here's why I'm gonna be your savior today. Here's why you can stop having FOMO. When you see those content, hey, you have to use this in the hook. You have to say, you have to use, you have to talk about all the struggles and all those things that people say, like tactics, the hacks to get more attention, to more views and things like that. Those things. Here's the thing. That's not how you're gonna build a personal brand. I guarantee you. Right? That's how you might get views and become a one-hit wonder temporarily. But it's not how you're gonna build a personal brand in the long run, like a sustainable personal brand. Okay? Because just think about this, right? Think about a personal brand that you really respect, that you really follow their advice and things like that, right? Not just like on hacks and things like that, but just in life in just business or life in general, or whatever. Like none of them got there through hacks. That's the thing, right? If you took any of Mel Robbins' video that gets like 2 million views right now, and you take that same exact video, posted it on your account, it wouldn't get 2 million views. Do you understand what I mean? The reason why is because the reason why that video got 2 million views is not because what she's saying there is so fucking amazing. It's because like she has that many followers and viewers. That's that's the reason why she's getting all of that. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, if you're trying to build a personal brand, your goal is not to get viral, because even Mel Robbins' video doesn't go viral. Like I just told you, if you take Mel Robbins' viral video, you put it in your your feed, it wouldn't go viral, right? So if you take Mel Robbins' video, put it in your feed, it doesn't go viral. What makes you think that you're gonna make video that's gonna go viral? Does that make any sense? Okay. So the only way you can compete with that, the only way you can compete with the type of videos like that, is by fucking doing hooks and some trend and some fucking stitch and what. That's the only, like, you have to do something that's completely unrelated to the business whatsoever, and use some viral trend to trick you to watch the video, just to watch the video. Like, you have to do that to compete with Mel Robbins, right? And you think you're going to build a reputation like that? No. What you got to do is you got to do it slowly. Yes, just like that Mel Robbins video, your video is not going to get views either if you're providing value. Like, the videos that I provide the most value get no views. like my live streams and my long form probably provides the most value, but they don't get views. So that's going to happen. But you have to keep doing it. It's whatchamacallit. It's the exponential growth. Like, that's what's gonna happen, right? Okay, going viral doesn't always result in much followers, though. Yeah. I mean, if you want viral to get followers, you really have to go viral. Like, I think you have to get like 1 million views to get like a couple thousand new followers. I'm sure your expertise when you're a coach consultant. It's not like being an engineer architect. Easy. Just coach somebody live. That's what I would do. I would coach somebody live. And if that person doesn't feel comfortable, you can even block them out, right? So you can blur them and do some voice shit or whatever. Okay, let's go back to carousels. Just keep putting your questions. I'm reading them. So, okay. So where was I? Oh yeah. So I posted this the other day, right? I lose more than 100 followers a day on Instagram, which means I have to get at least 100 new followers a day just to stay where I am. I think that's a good metaphor for life. Once you start moving, you start moving backwards. Oh, I did say it. Okay. And then I attached this. Now, it only got 40 likes. So it only got 40 likes. But I'm going to turn it into a carousel anyway. I don't give a shit. This is another thing. Remember I told you that I post those quotes? And the only goal with those quotes, like if you see those quotes, I am so not proud of this post. Okay? Because it's not even really true. And the thing is, it got me 186,000 views. And it brought me, look at this. It brought me 1,200 new followers. Right? So even though I'm not proud of this post, I posted it twice, actually. And both times it brought me over 1,000 new followers. Okay? Yeah, I forgot. I posted it a while ago. So that's the thing. I'll post shit that I'm ashamed of, as long as it's not I'm not compromising anything, any values, and I'll post it, and I'll get them to, follow me, and then I'll post these other type of posts, right? But the reason why I'm making this carousel is because I actually Mary said it made me focus on branding much. Oh, good, okay. Marketing is their branding is much. Yeah. Yeah, I guess I got it. And that's the thing, right? Even the things that you don't think is like the reason why I said I'm ashamed is not because like I think that that message is wrong, because I feel like it's such one of those things that are like, I feel like it's one of those messages that like it's nice to hear, but it doesn't really help anyone. But I guess it does help because it can inspire you or something like that, right? So, but the thing is, the reason why I want to make this carousel is because to me, this is good content. And I feel like it's something that I wish I knew when I was younger. And therefore I'm gonna make it, even though it's not gonna get a lot of views. So that's the thing. Like, I think if you wanna like maintain creative integrity, what you have to do is you have to do both. You have to do Johnny Walker Red and Johnny Walker Blue, right? You have to put out the content, and you understand that, like that single quote, you understand the point of this post is to get as many eye views as possible. That's why I only post quotes that I know is getting views, that are outliers, right? And then you know that the point of this post, like for example, when I post the videos with GG or something like that, that shit is not teaching anything about marketing or anything, right? Like I know for a fact the only people that are going to care about that are people that are actually like that actually know me, right? And then there are some maybe really good advice or good content that I put out that gets the least amount of views, right? But the reason why you still have to put them out is this. It's because the videos that get the least amount of views are usually the ones where all the right people are watching. The video that's getting million views, you have a million wrong people watching that. But when you have like a really good expertise video that only has 1,000 views, you have 1,000 right people watching that. CEOs, decision makers, marketers. Do you understand what I mean? And that's kind of like what I find fascinating. Whenever I meet somebody at a conference, right? Somebody who's like another speaker or something like that, somebody that I look up to, or somebody follows me. And I talk to them and they're like, "Oh, son, like I really loved your post about this." And it's like the post that barely got any views, right? And that's the reason why I post them. And I guess it's the same for myself. Like when I go on YouTube, my favorite videos are not the one that has like 2 million views. It's the one that has like 10,000 views. Usually. Okay, so I already wrote this, right? So this is where the idea began. And then I'm gonna now, for now, just write it into I'm just gonna write that. So the process is, whenever I have an idea, I'll just go in here and I'll just add it, and I'll just write one-liner or something like that. Here, lead magnets to collect email, but the truth is that it lowers open rates. So I know that when I wrote that down, I know what that means is like when you do these freebies, right? Oh, sign up to get this free PDF, right? What happens is, because the only reason why they sign up is to get that freebie, it kills your open rate. So that every week when you send out an email, your open rate gets killed because they don't actually want to read your email. They just wanted the freebie, right? So that's kind of the idea that that's an idea that I had. I just wrote it down. I didn't work on it, right? So so these are just, and some of them I have stories. Some of them have more examples. So yeah, then first thing you do is you I write it down here. So here, lose 100 followers, I'll call it. And then when I'm ready, I'll come back to it. The other day I noticed I lost 100 friends, which means like, okay. So I have 4 slides. Here's the thing. In the old days, I used to just write it out everything on here, and then I'll start designing the carousels. And that's kind of what I recommend you guys to do. But what I do is I skip that part. But you guys shouldn't do that, because I think that you should still go through the process of writing it out in the bullet point before you do that. Then this is Story Bank. You have to on Circle. You have to go to Story Bank, and you can download it and use it. Actually, I'm gonna update it, so don't download it yet. I'm updating this a little bit based on our new process. By the way, if you're not in Night Owl Nation, join. If you wanna practice storytelling, it's $30 a month right now, but we're gonna raise it to $75 a month. Okay. So I'm actually gonna go ahead and write it into Carousel first. Okay, so I'll write like a text one first. So usually what I do is you see this one. So this is the one I posted today, right? So usually what I'll do is like I'll copy the slides, and I'll start working on it. I know you designers are gonna be like, you're not supposed to do like that. You gotta name your layers and like, shut up. I don't name my layers. By the way, this is a little trick. I know it's not something like special, but I use it so much. So, when you want to copy Canvas or copy anything in any of these design software, it doesn't really matter what software it is. If you hit Option and then you drag, right? It duplicates it, right? You see Option and then you drag, right? But if you Option and you hit Shift and drag, then you see it's like it's aligned, so it never goes outside of the thing, right? And then you can do it again, right? Like you see here. So I copied it once, and once I copy it once, now if I let go and I hit Command D, the letter D, it just does the same action again. It duplicates. It's like, see, 2, 3. So I can copy and paste slides as much as I can. I just wanted to show you that because like that's something I use a lot. And if you want to design, like if you properly want to learn how to design, the first thing you're going to have to master is shortcuts. Because like without the shortcuts, everything will take you forever. Okay, so here I might do something like, so I'll copy this over. The other day I noticed I lost 100 followers. Okay, so I have 4 slides so far. 근데 you never use Story Bank. Okay. The other day I noticed I lost 100 followers. So now I want to look at it like one slide at a time. The other day I noticed I lost 100 followers, which means I have to. What I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to So, okay, I want to document this as accurately as possible. So usually I come to this point where I know I have an idea. I wrote it down. Boom. Okay, it's there. Now what? Right? Now what's next, right? And at this point, I usually have to kind of pause and think about what is it really that I want to say? What is that one idea that I want to get across? Where if people heard it, it'll make them say, I never thought of it that way, right? Like I want to give that kind of the same feeling that I had when I learned this lesson. Oh, so hot in here. I'm going to turn on the AC. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to turn that thread post into carousel post. Can that? And I guess like what would make what is like the emotion that I want to deliver? Maybe like a sense of urgency. Like if you don't stop moving, you start moving backwards. You know what I'll do? Yeah, so I want to kind of give it that. Here's the thing. At the end of the carousel, I want them to say, obviously, I never thought of it that way. But I also want them to get the feeling of like a little sense of urgency, like, oh shit. Like, yes, like whatever it is I need to post, or whatever it is, because here's the thing. Okay, all of this bullshit, it comes down to this, right? I am a lazy fuck, right? Like last week I told you the story. Like I have zero fucking discipline. Right? I have zero willpower. I have such an addictive personality. Like I'm glad I don't drink because I would definitely be an alcoholic, right? But the thing is, because of that, like I literally had to take myself away to a cabin without internet just to get the fucking work done. Right? And I go through this process. I go through these periods a lot where, I'll work hard and I'll blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, oh, maybe I can take a break now. And I relax. But when I relax, sometimes like it goes longer, right? It's not just a little break, right? You sometimes you just lose that momentum. And what happens is like, maybe it's because I'm an introvert. Like in those cases, like I'll usually like disconnect, or I'll just like, I'll just disengage, for the lack of a better word. And when I disengage, it's not like my life stays. It's not like the rest of my life like pauses with me, right? Like they keep going, so I'm just like being left behind. And I guess like at first I didn't realize that, but after a while, I started to realize that. Like you start to realize that. Like for example, you start to realize that in business. Like when I work my ass off and we're like, okay, growing, revenue's growing, blah, blah, blah. But then I'm like, oh, we're at a good place now, so I can relax. That's when it doesn't like plateau. It starts to go down, and this is how most businesses die. Actually, most businesses don't go out of business. Like they kind of slowly disappear before they're gone, right? And I want to prevent that from happening. I want to remind them. So I guess that's why I have to use the analogy. So maybe what I'll do is like So maybe here I'll just, instead of just this, I'll add some examples. That's kind of the thing, right? Like in carousels, the example that you come up with can make or break the carousel, right? So I know that this is going to be the ending screen. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And then I know there's one more slide, the call to action. So I know that this is going to be. So once I know where I'm going with this, the first thing I'm going to do is I want to start with the ending. If you don't stop moving, or if you stop moving, maybe I'll say when you stop moving, you start moving backwards. Old balance, yes, it's going to be replay. All the live streams are going to be there on YouTube. Kundan, why are you watching from YouTube? You should watch from Riverside. If you're a member and you're watching from Riverside, if you use that call in button, you can call in and I can talk to you if you want to talk to me. If you don't want to talk to me, that's fine too. Maybe once you stop moving, you start moving backwards. Yeah, I'm thinking about like, see, here's the thing, right? This is why carousel kind of forces you to think. Like, I need to dig deeper into why. Like, what am I trying to say? Like that, because like I don't want them to think that I'm saying. Remember, like I said, there's two sides to the story, and once you know both sides of the story, then that's how you know it's a good story, right? Right now, I only have one side of the story, and here's the thing, right? It's because I'm not telling the other side of the story. So on one side, it's like, okay, you stop and you start moving backwards. Okay, I agree with that. But on the other hand, like, does that mean I want people to like just fucking keep running in a hamster mill forever? Like, that's not true either, right? Yeah, help me out here. If you guys understand what I'm talking about, and you can kind of fill me in with some wisdom, go ahead. But it's like I feel like at its essence, it boils down to kind of the work-life balance versus like not being lazy. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll come to me. I'm gonna when I kind of get stuck like this, writer's block, or like when I get I blank out like this, I just have to keep going, and something will start to click. So the example that I was thinking of is of life, like when you stop going to the gym. And I know that it's not just going to the gym, right? It has to do with like eating right, you know, like exercising other than like keeping healthy, doing activities and other stuff too, like sleep. But the reason why I say when you see, because like if I say, when you stop being like when you stop caring about fitness, that doesn't sound as straightforward and clear in somebody's mind as when you stop going to the gym. And it's maybe this is a concept that like I want to talk about. It's not really always about being technically accurate, because I know that people do this all the time, and I think this is one of the fears that people have, is that I can't say that, I can't post that. You know, when you post on Threads, or when you post on mm, when you post on social media in general, like you there is no room for nuance. You have to be very direct, and you have to use extreme examples. You have to use extreme examples, even though people might be like, yeah, but that's kind of extreme, right? That's an extreme case scenario. But the reason why you use that is because at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're trying to get them to follow the logic that if if you think so in this case, then there's no other reason why you shouldn't also think so in this case, which is the same scenario. So like you're trying to expose logical fallacies, right? So when you're doing that, um, you have to use extreme examples, because people are dumb and they don't understand nuance, especially on social media. And the fear is, if you do that, I know what you're thinking, because this is what I did. I would say something like that. I will say something like extreme example, short, a little bit controversial or provocative or something like that. And people will come attack me like, well, that's not technically necessarily true. Or what about this case scenario? Or what are you saying about this? And people will attack you. But the thing is, bye, Mayor. The thing is, you just gotta be okay with that. That's gonna happen. That's gonna happen. There's nothing you can do about that. So sometimes when you write, think less about, is this technically accurate, or does this more clearly get my point across? Right. So when you stop going to the gym, um, you're not gonna maintain a six pack. And again, I know that's not technically accurate, right? You can't maintain a six pack just by eating healthy, right? And you can still go to the gym and not get a six pack. But you see the point I'm trying to get at, right? Um, when you stop, let's see. What's another example? Help me out here, chat. What's another example for when you stop moving and you start going backwards? When you stop working, your savings you don't maintain your savings. Okay. When you stop, you know what? Because remember, if you're a Night Owl Nation, kill your darlings. I can say when you stop working out, and also remember the repetition, anchoring. I want to try to use same phrases to tie ideas together. So I don't want to say you're not gonna maintain a six pack versus you don't maintain your savings. So I'm gonna do the same thing. You don't maintain a six. When you stop working out, you don't maintain a six pack. When you stop working, you don't maintain your savings. Let's do one more example. Do you guys have another example? Oh, I have one. When you stop talking, you don't maintain your friendship. Or relationship. Now I'm gonna say friendship. Don't ask why. It just feels. Yeah, it feels more in line with the example, because I feel like when you stop talking to your in a like romantic relationship, that's what relationship sounds like. Then there could be many other reasons and things like that. But I think with friends, like I think it's a much better analogy for people to relate to. Like, oh yeah, if I stop talking, when you stop sleeping early, you lose your morning. When you stop sleeping early, when you stop sleeping early, you don't maintain what? When you stop sleeping early, you lose your morning. Yeah, I don't know. Like I think I'm trying to think about what is the thing. It's because like here's the thing. Whenever I hear analogies, it's like a puzzle. It just fits or it doesn't fit, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. Like, but the thing is, like the analogy here that I think is that once you stop, then you don't actually maintain this thing. It starts going backwards. So it's like you move forward, 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 and then once you stop, it's not like this. Once you stop, it starts. So it's almost like there's a treadmill underneath, and you're going backwards. And then as soon as you stop, you just starts going backwards. Something like that. So if you don't sleep, if you stop sleeping early, if you stop sleeping on time, meaning like staying up late, right? Yeah, no, I know that doesn't work. I'm trying to think about like how it does pertain to sleep though. You don't maintain your healthy morning routine. Okay. No, but that's also an action. I'm trying to think about result. Because stop is the action. When you stop the action, what is the result? When you stop sleeping early, you don't maintain your. No, that doesn't work either. It's too far of a stretch. Because also the sunrise meditation is an action that you do. I guess. Okay, if you stop, if you when you stop, when you stop going to bed on time, you don't maintain your morning routine. Nah. Yeah, I mean, I know what you mean, but I think it's like it actually takes. Here's the thing, I know what you mean, and I think it's like a very nuanced. Here's the thing, Anise. It's like such a high level advice that only like such a few people will get, that I actually think it takes away from the carousel. And that's the thing, right? These are the kind of compromise you have to make. Because yes, I would love to use like very sophisticated examples. But here's the thing. The best example are the dumb examples. It's like when I write a carousel, I have to imagine almost that I'm writing a children's book or something like that, right? When you stop listening to your wife, you don't maintain it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, okay. When you stop listening to your wife, you don't maintain your marriage. See, like that's the word that I changed. I changed the word maintain. Okay, Anise, thank you for that idea, and here's why. Woo! You just click something. Maybe this is what it is. Like in every carousel, I want to have this at least this one thing. This one thing that makes people go, "Oh, that was funny," or "That was cool," "That was different," or you know what I mean? Yeah, Gigi would agree. So, and here's the thing, right, Anise? You know how I say I talk about like anchoring, right? You have to reframe and then anchor. So sometimes, like in this case, an example is kind of like it's not very dumb and straightforward. It might be like something that like the gym one, the gym one and the one about the gym and the one about the savings, those are very obvious. It's like those are the obvious ones, right? Friendship, maybe not as much. This one, it's a little bit further from the you know the analogy, right? But the thing is, the way I tied it all together is by using repetition, using the anchor, right? The anchor is when you stop blank, right? When you stop blank, you don't maintain your blank, right? So this is what I mean by framing and anchoring. So I'm anchoring these phrases. When you stop, you don't maintain your bum, right? So when you stop working out, you don't maintain your six pack, right? Yeah. So Anis, that's what we talked about. You lose this, but the reason why I use the word maintain very carefully is because that's what people think it is, right? They think that they're just maintaining it. So it delivers that message much better when you say you don't maintain this, when you maintain something. Because I feel like I don't think people think that they're gonna lose something. Like I think that they think that when they stop. Like, for example, I don't think a lot of people are thinking like they're gonna lose follower or something like that. I don't know. I don't know why. Like, I'm gonna have to think about that one. Like, I know that in my gut, what my gut is telling me, what my intuition is telling me, is that don't maintain is a better word than lose. I don't have a logical reason why, but I'm gonna figure it out and I'll answer you at some point. Okay, so when you stop working out, you don't maintain your six pack. When you stop working, see, I'm gonna change this to when you stop going to work. And the thing is, it's because it's too you don't realize this until you read it out loud. When you stop working out, you don't maintain your six pack. When you stop working, you don't maintain, like, you see what I mean? Like it's because of the working, it's not differentiated enough to let people know, like in a you know in a split second, that this is the new thing, right? So, but this works better. When you stop working out, you don't maintain your six pack. When you stop going to work, you don't maintain your savings. When you stop talking, you don't maintain your. When you stop talking, to friends. You don't maintain your friendship. When you stop listening to your wife, you don't maintain your marriage. So you see how I'm using the same thing. So the thing is, this thing, even though it's not a direct lesson, like here, what I'm trying to say, the clear picture that I'm trying to say is that once you stop activity, it doesn't just, the rest of the world doesn't just pause, it starts going backwards, right? But with the wife thing, it's not, yeah, stopping isn't neutral. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm trying to say. Like stopping isn't neutral. But the wife thing is a little bit different, right? It's like, yes, I technically yes. If you stop listening to your wife over time, that's making your marriage little by little by little. It's your marriage is going backwards, basically, right? If you stop listening to your wife. But it's also like it's not the same as like people don't see that as the same thing as like stop going to the gym or stop going to work. It's an extreme example and it's very different, right? Different thing. Yet it's also true. Kind of. You stop listening to your wife, you're not going to maintain your marriage, right? That's what makes it funny. It adds a little bit of humor to it. Do you understand what I mean? Okay. That's why I think it's even more powerful when I say once you stop moving, you start moving backwards. Okay, maybe I want to add Lucy's line. Stopping isn't neutral. Once you stop moving. Oh, you know what I just think of? Yeah, maybe three examples is enough. Well, let's try. But Lucy just gave me like stopping is in neutral because like as soon as I heard that line, I'm thinking of like neutral on a car, right? So I want to say something like the I always want to use words that's going to give people like a visual that they can hang on to. So maybe something like when you stop using it, you lose it. Oh. When you stop using it, you Rosalinda, hold that thought. Because I think there's another carousel. Because like, it's like kind of like your brain or like when you stop practicing. So I think that's actually a different lesson. Because what I'm talking about is like when you build something or when you're working on something, like you lose, like not just you lose the ability to do it, not just you lose, which is true, you lose the ability to, because you're out of practice, but you also lose the progress that you've made. Do you understand what I mean? So I think it's actually a different lesson, and that's why I wouldn't. And this is like, you know what? This is important. I want you guys to go through this process because there are this new like we think that like okay, if you stop, you start going back, and or you stop using it, like you're gonna lose it, right? We think that these two things might be related, which it is. But we also need to understand the nuanced difference between the two, right? And making a carousel, you really need to ask yourself these questions so you understand. Like, and to me, it actually, if I say use it or lose it, I think I'm going to confuse a reader at the end. because it's not exactly the same thing. Because I'm not talking about you being out of touch. I'm talking about you actually losing all the progress that you've made. Like, for example, even if let's say you made money, you got a job and you went to work and you made money, even if you lose the ability to work, or even if you have the ability to work, you still lose the money. That has nothing to do with losing the, I don't know how to explain it. Yeah, when you stop practicing a language, you lose it. But when you but in this other example that I'm using, it's more than just the skill you're using. You're actually losing the money. You're actually losing the relationship. You're actually losing all the muscles that you gained. You're actually losing something other than just a skill. So I think it's a little different. I mean, it's similar, but it's different. So I'm not gonna say that. What I am gonna say is go back to Lisa's idea or Lucy's idea and say, life is like driving uphill. When you stop accelerating, you start going backwards. What's the thing you stopped doing last month? I like that. Yeah, maybe I'll put that. All right, let's think about that. All right, now going back. You know what? To save slides, I'm gonna use this as the hook. I lost. Yeah, I don't. If you guys have any questions while I'm just designing, I want you to put it in the chat, because like I have no idea why. I don't know. I have no idea why I just did that. So the idea that I got all of a sudden is to use this as a hook. I lost 100 followers yesterday, and then on the second slide. By the way, you have to understand your second slide in the carousel is actually your second hook, because you know that if you make carousels, you get two chances to be shown. To like the algorithm is going to show it with the first slide like this, and if you don't swipe, it might show it to the same person again, but starting from the second slide. So your second slide is actually your second hook. So if your first hook fails, your second hook, right? So here I'm going to say, this is another hook. So I'm going to say, in fact, I lose 100 followers every day. Okay? Which means I have to get, let me show it. So I have to get 200 new followers a day just to break even. That reminded me of the bicycle, I guess, is like kind of better, huh? When you start working out, you don't maintain. I want to tie this to this. I want to somehow anchor these two. Yeah, so Anis, so what I'm going to do is here, let me answer you that question too first, since I know. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to use this picture here to show that it's not why I lost 100 followers. Well, I lose 100 followers every day. You know what I mean? Actually, to use this white background one, I'm going to make a big change. I'm going to turn the background into white. Then I'm going to turn. So I switched the color. Okay, so I lost 100 followers. You know what I'll do? I have another screenshot here, so I'll copy this. But I'm gonna create another screenshot of the overall, so that you can see how much I gained versus lost, right? That reminds me of life. When you stop working out, you don't make. When you stop going to work, you don't maintain your savings. When you stop talking to friends, you don't maintain your friendship. When you stop listening. It's like life is like riding a bicycle uphill. When you stop pedaling, you start. Ooh, I like that. Let's see. Let's do a 1-second test. I lost 100 followers yesterday. In fact, I lose 100 followers every day. So I have to get 100 new followers a day just to break even. That reminds me of life. When you stop working out, you don't maintain your six pack. When you stop going to work, you don't maintain your savings. When you stop talking to friends, you don't maintain your friendship. When you stop listening to your wife, you don't maintain your marriage. Okay. So I'm gonna make the font a little bit smaller here. So because I don't like this right here. All right, that's better. That's I don't think so. I think, Anis, I think people will get that. I think as soon as actually they reach here, I think as soon as they get here, I think they're gonna connect the dots. So I don't have to spell it out for them. I think for me, the punchline of this carousel is actually not even that here. The turning point of the carousel is actually the wife one. Because I'm like, this is the humor. The humor is like where I'm going for. So, for example, like husband sleeping on couch, right? Like husband in the doghouse. I think this works. I mean, I'm gonna have I have to find a better image, but basically, what I want to do is like if I use a picture like this, like if I have a serious tone over here, right? Like when here, you have somebody like that's like lazy, right? Here, you have a picture of somebody that's like, losing money. Here, you have a picture of like somebody who's disconnected from their friend, and here, you have a husband sleeping on the couch, right? So this slide is like the punchline in terms of like how it kind of it's a pattern disrupt. It makes people laugh, and then okay, now that everybody's laughing, now that we've broken the tension, okay, now it's like funny. Oh, that okay. On all serious note, now that we had a good laugh, on all serious note, life is like riding a bicycle uphill. When you stop pedaling, you start rolling backwards. Does that make sense? I don't know. I don't know if you guys see the vision that I see. Like maybe this is better. That's like one of those images where you can actually use AI to extend, right? Like, you see this? Okay. Generate background with plain white wall. I don't know, like, let me just finish this one. Okay. All right, I'm just going to use this. Good enough for now. I might change it later, but. Maybe I'll like. I'll do this just to get the point across. So I'll pick an image for each one of these, right? Like distant friends. Yeah, I don't know how to represent that. I'm just gonna have to go with the kind of an emotion like this. I think it might work with the right copy. Let's see. I'll just take a screenshot. So I'm doing the same thing here as I showed you at beginning earlier in the stream. Like I'm making the top part more brighter so that, you know. Yeah, I usually don't use Google Images, Kundan, but for this, like just for quick purposes, I'm doing it. Yeah, I usually use like Unsplash or Pexels. When you stop going to work, you don't maintain your savings. Um, maybe something like no money in the bank. ATM. All right, so we're running out of time, so I'm just gonna. I think you get the point, right? Like, so what's gonna happen is I'll find images for these, but I lost 100 followers yesterday, so here I'll do another inside screenshot. So the whole point is, I think it's kind of a mystery thing, right? People are like, what? Like, what did he do to lose 100 followers? That's where the mind goes. And then when I say, in fact, I lose 100 followers, I think people get that. So I have to like, and this is just a reminder. Of course, obviously, if you lose 100 followers a day, you have to get. It's just math. But I think it's like that's not where most people's mind goes. So I'm going to do that, and then that reminds me of life. And then here I'm going to use pictures. So of somebody going to the gym. I mean, somebody like being lazy on the couch, not going to the gym. Somebody who's like checking the ATM and there's no money. When you like sad, right? And then this is kind of funny, right? And then this is the slide when you stop listening to your wife, you don't maintain your words. And what I'm gonna do is here, in addition to that, I'm actually gonna highlight because I'm using anchor phrases. I'm just gonna highlight the action, right? So that it's super clear to people, right? What are the part like when you stop talking to friends? Your friends, you don't maintain your friendship. When you stop going to you know what I mean? So it's gonna be very simple, like very clear. When you stop, might as well do this one too. So it's going to be very clear here, right? When you stop working out, when you stop going to work, you don't maintain savings. When you stop talking to your friends, you don't maintain your friendship. When you stop listening to your wife, you don't maintain your marriage. Life is like riding a bicycle uphill. When you stop pedaling, you start rolling backwards. And maybe here I'll use AI or something. I'll find an image of like somebody riding the bicycle uphill, right? Okay. Let's leave it at that for now. This is like I know that this is like kind of a obvious lesson for some of you guys who's already kind of done the personal development work and things like that, but it's actually not for most people. And that's like this is something that I think you guys really need to understand is that just because your level of like personal development work is like there doesn't mean that this stuff is not valuable. Like so if you can find a way to really get this message across, That's important. Okay, I think that's it for today. Let's see if there's any other questions. Yeah, that's it for today. Thank you everyone for coming. I'm gonna do this every week, and I'm gonna try to do it like 3 times a week, or even maybe every week. So make sure you hit subscribe, so you see the notification every time. Leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of the doing the live stream with the carousel. Let me know if you want to see something else. If you're not in Night Owl Nation, join Night Owl Nation. I'll see you all next week. Peace out, everyone. Bye.